Kalkadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet Batra Daf Aleph Amud Aleph 81A1. We are starting by the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "Hakone shene ilanot." If you're going to acquire two trees, betoch sadeh chavero, inside of the field of your friend, hareze lo kana. So what happens is you do not buy the karka. You remember when we mentioned that when we're talking about the entire concept of the trees, since trees are important, you do not buy the land with the trees. Rabbi Meir comes and he says, "Kana karka," you do acquire, right, the karka. So it says the Gemara, higdilu, the Mishnah. If right now higdilu, what does it mean higdilu? So higdilu here means that if it became the trees became bigger, lo yeshapeh, the balakarka is not allowed to come and to cut down the branches, because since he has the karka of the trees as well, he was mishabed tatzmo, he subjugated himself for all the necessities as well. And anything that comes from the geza is again the gidulim, the new things which are coming out from this tree, shelo, it belongs to the purchaser. Umina shorashim, right? However, though, if it comes up from the shorashim, it belongs to the balakarka. Okay, so whatever comes up from the roots belongs to the owner of the field, to the seller. And whatever comes up from the branches, it belongs to the purchaser, to the buyer. Bimetu, what happens if the trees die? And lo karka. He does not have karka. Meaning, according to this, the second that it dies, they have to get rid of it, but he cannot plant a new tree. Kanash losha, but if he bought 3 trees, kana karka, then for sure you're going to acquire the karka. Yeah, and therefore, once you buy the 3 trees, you bought the karka. Higdilu, if it grows, yeshapeh. Maze yeshapeh. Yeah, maze yeshapeh, exactly. So he comes and he says, yeshapeh is, right? Yeshapeh is that he says that he's allowed to cut down the branches. Belongs to him, right? Why? Because since he has the ground, so whatever came up from the shorashim, which is also from the ground, belongs to him. And if the trees die, yesh lo karka, he could plant new trees. Because since when he bought 3 trees, he also bought the karka, so the land itself is his. So now if it uproots those trees, he could put 3 new trees. Fine. That was the Mishnah. Gemara on 81a. Okay? Says the Gemara. So we just finished the Mishnah. So says the Gemara, Sanan Hatam, we learned over there in the Mishnah in Bikurim, if you're going to come and you're going to buy 2 trees in the field of your friend, you're obligated to bring Bikurim, but you do not read the psukim of the Bikurim. So you're obligated to bring it, right? Because again, the bringing of the Bikurim has to do with the 7 species, obviously, of Eretz Yisrael. But here, right, it has to do with, and we're talking about the entire concept, you're allowed to bring it, but you don't read it. Rabbi Meir Omer, no, you could bring the Bikurim, and you could also read the psukim of the Bikurim as well. Why? Because according to him, you also bought the karka. So if you bought the karka, the fruits are coming from the land which Hashem gave you, because that's the concept. The concept is, we say, if you only own the trees, Hashem didn't give you the land, right? He didn't give you the land. He gave you the trees, but not the land. So according to Rabbi Meir, since you also purchased the land, so you also are able, you could also bring the Bikurim, and you could also read the Psukim of the Bikurim. Yeah? Amar of Yehuda ben Shmuel, it says of Yehuda, the name of Shmuel, Mechayev ya Rabbi Meir, af pelokech perot min hashuk. Do you know, according to Shittat Rabbi Meir, even if you purchase perot min hashuk, you're still obligated to come and to also, right, mevive koreh, right? He comes and he says, right, the entire concept, right, of what we mentioned is, right, he says not only just, it's the fruits in itself, he says as long as they're pre-rishonim, you're obligated to bring it. Okay. So says the Gemara, Mimai, how do we know this? How do we know that Shitat Rabbi Meir is that even if you just bought, imagine, I went to the shuk, I bought the fruits, they tell me, by the way, it's the first fruits. So they say, bring them, and you have to read the psukim. How do you know that's the Shita? So he says, we learned it from the extra Mishnah. When it says, obviously, if he has karka, he's going to bring the bikurim and he's going to read the psukim. Obviously. But it comes to teach you, Rabbi Meir would obligate even if you purchase pirot minashuk, meaning his reasoning, right, is nothing to do with only the karka, right? His reasoning is, that means basically since in the Mishnah, they were the first one in the Shita was talking about the karka, so mentioning. But according to his reasoning is that the second that you have, it's the first fruits, I don't care who owns the land, right? At the end of the day, right, he just wants to say that it's going on the fruits, not going on the land. And therefore, these are the first fruits, so you have to bring it. So says the Gemara, what the Pasuk says. The active, it's written in the Pasuk, Asher tavi me'artzecha. You have to bring from your land. So if it has to bring from your land, what do I care that they're the first fruits? Is it your land? The answer is no. So it's in the negative. Come on, nothing what to talk about. So answers the Gemara, when it says Asher tavi me'artzecha, hu lemiut chutz haaretz. This comes to exclude chutz haaretz. In chutz haaretz, there's no bikurim. In the diaspora, no bikurim. So, Richard, you could have all your mango trees and avocado trees and I don't know what other type of trees that you have. And what happens is that the fact that it's in chutz haaretz, there's no bikurim. It's the first fruits, doesn't matter, there's no bikurim. Meaning the words Asher tavi me'artzecha does not come to exclude that if you do not have the piece of land, meaning you don't own the land in Israel. It doesn't matter. Is it in Israel? You may be koreh. If it's in chutz haaretz, eno may be koreh. That's the explanation when it says Asher tavi me'artzecha, that you have to bring from your land. It doesn't mean literally that it has to, you have to own the land. It just means that it has to be from the land of Eretz Yisrael. So ask the Gemara, Vaktiv Rashi Bikure Admatecha. There, when it says Admatecha, it means that it's yours, right? And therefore, if it has to be yours, so that's it. So 1 second. When it says Asher Tivi Me'artzecha, Artzecha comes to exclude Eretz Acheret. What is Eretz Acheret? A different land, the land outside of Eretz Yisrael. But when it says Bikurei Admatecha, the Adama has to be Shelcha, which means that the ground has to be yours. What do you do with that? Because there it says Mefurash, Admatecha has to be your Adama. It's not only just has to be your Artzecha, it has to be your Adama. So answers the Gemara, Lemiute Admato V'Dekom. No, you know what happens? What happens if it's in the land of Israel, but it belongs to a Goy? So if it belongs to a Goy, you don't have to bring the Bikurim. And even though it's the first fruits, and the reason why it's not admatecha, meaning the word admatecha comes to teach you that it does not, that it has to belong to a Jew, but it doesn't mean that it has to be your land. Yeah, 1 minute. Everyone understood until here? One more time. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bring different yesodot.
They say
right?
your land twice. The second one.
Yeah, no, but well, it's not really exact. The first one it says me'artzecha from your land. The second one it's true from your land, but it's adama. Adama and Eretz. Eretz is like a country. Right? Adama is the actual land in itself. Right? Adama. So the first time around it said Artzecha. So there we learn that according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, Artzecha does not mean that you have to own it, because according to the first Shtat, you have to own it. No. It's Eretz Yisrael, not Eretz Acheret. The second one where it says your land, there it says, no, it has to be your land, meaning a land belonging to a Jew and not belonging to, right, a non-Jew. Why? Because if it belongs to a Jew, you're chayav in bikurim. Belongs to a non-Jew, you're not chayav in bikurim. Okay? V'aktiv, it's written, Asher natata li Hashem. Forget about now, land. It says, right, that you're going to bring the first fruits of the land, which Hashem gave me. So if it says which Hashem gave me, He didn't give it to you. So He says, no. The Gemara answers, He did give it to me because I went and I paid for it. And then what happened is that I purchased it, which means, right, that I bought them. Hashem gave me the money, right? And then I bought them, I purchased them. So that's what it means when it says Hashem natata li Hashem. Hashem gave it to me. Okay?
It says here that it means you own the land where the fruit grew. Hashem gave me means He gave me the land where the fruit.
No, that's the question, Richard. Read the answer. I'm in the answer. What is the answer? The answer is that it means that He gave me the money. I didn't go ahead. I said the question.
I didn't see that part.
Okay, fine. Okay. Yeah. So that means you gave me the land, which means that it belongs to me. He said, no, it means that you gave me the money to purchase it. Meaning when you gave me, it's giving me money. And the money purchases the fruit, and therefore it belongs to me. So says the Gemara, Mati Rabba comes and he asks the following question. What if you only purchase one tree in the friend's field? You're going to bring, you're not going to read it. You didn't actually. So here, you see Mefurash, according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, one tree, you bring the Bikurim, but you don't read the Pesukim. And these are the words that Rabbi Meir. So therefore, this is Be'emet against Shmuel. Why is this a tiyufta against Shmuel? Because what did Shmuel say? Shmuel says that even if you purchase fruits from the shuk, you went to Machane Yehuda and you bought fruits, you have to bring and you have to read. And what are we saying now? Saying no. Even one tree, right? You do not bring. Now you own the tree. That's even better than buying the fruits just from the marketplace, and you still don't bring it. So this is a question against Shmuel. Tiyufta. Tiyufta means it's a refutation. Yeah? Okay, fine. Next. Elmaleh Rabbi Shimon ben Eliakim Rabbi Elazar. Says Shimon ben Eliakim to Rabbi Elazar. Pei Aleph Amud Bet. Yeah? 81b. My ta'amad Rabbi Meir. B'ilan echad. What's the reasoning why, according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, by one tree, right, that he's going to come and say, you bring the Bikurim, but you just don't read it? And what's the reasoning of the Rabbanan by two trees, that you bring it, but you just don't read it? What's the concept? What does that mean exactly? You're bringing the Bikurim, but you're just not reading the Psukim. What's going on? Amar lo, he told him, Davar sharishonim lo amru bo tam, tishaleni b'vet hamidrash kedei levayisheni. Says 1 second. If the rabbis never gave a reason for it, you're going to start asking me for a reason in order to embarrass me? Meaning, sometimes if it's not written, some people, they like to, it's called hokeat. Lahkor. Yeah. Hakirot. Rishava hakira. So certain times, right, he's coming in saying, what are you trying to do? Yeah, if they didn't give the reason, what are you trying to do to ask me then? So Amar Rabba comes and he says, right, my kushia, what's the question? It could be that according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, Bilan Echad Sefuk Mesafkale, maybe according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, by one tree, he's got a doubt, right, whether it's going to be if he actually gets the land or not. And according to Shtat Rabbanan, it's only by two trees that you have a doubt. Meaning the machloka between them is, according to everybody, if you have the land, you bring it, obviously. If you don't, you don't. Now the question is, when do you get the land? So according to Rabbi Meir, he had a doubt that if you buy one tree, do you get the land or not? I'm not sure. So Rabbi Meir says, bring it, but don't read it. According to rabbis, what?
Don't read the Psukim.
Don't read the Psukim. Don't read it. I mean, don't read the Psukim. Right? Mevi veno kore. Right? Mevi veno kore. And the sages is two. And then the last sheet does two. Yes, exactly. I'm not sure according to Rabbi Meir. Two, I'm not sure according to the rabbis. One, according to the rabbis, for sure you don't get the karka. But a two, that's a doubt according to the rabbis. Okay? So ask the Gemara, Umi misafkale? Do you have a doubt? Does Rabbi Meir have a doubt whether you have the karka or not? Baktani, we learned. Lefi shelo kana karka di Rabbi Meir. According to Rabbi Meir, he says the words. You did not acquire the land. So what do you mean he's got a doubt? He doesn't have a doubt. So he says, Ema, maybe you have to say, Shema lo kana, not lefi. Lefi means because. It's not because. Shema. What is Shema? Shema is maybe. Maybe he didn't buy the car. Meaning, and that's why it is a doubt according to Rabbi Meir. Meaning, according to Rabbi Meir, you have a doubt with one tree. Do you acquire the land or not? Right? Of that tree. And therefore, because of that, that's why he says, maybe they don't correct. You bring, you don't read the psukim. Okay? So ask the Gemara, this is 1 second. I have a technical issue. I'm going to ask you a question. What happens right now if you have an animal? Can you bring an animal, a regular animal, to the Bet HaMikdash? Unless you bring it as a sacrifice. No. Was why? That's called you're bringing chulin la'azara. Chulin la'azara means you're bringing regular, mundane, like chulin, to the azara, which right? In the Bet HaMikdash, right? So therefore, what happens now is he comes and he says, maybe it's not bikurim. So if it's not bikurim, what does it mean? Bring the bikurim, but just don't read the psukim. Even the bringing of bikurim should be a problem, because if you're going to tell me right now that the bikurim, it's really not bikurim, maybe it's not bikurim. So what are you going to do? So answers the Gemara, the maktishli. It's going to be okay because you consecrated it, which means if it's bikurim, and even if it's not bikurim, you consecrated it. Once you made it ekdesh. So says the Gemara, how do you consecrate it? What? He comes and he says, you have to eat it. What does it mean you have to eat it? Right? What does that mean you have to eat it? He says part of the mitzvah of the bikurim is you have to eat the bikurim. If you consecrated it, how do you eat it? Answers the Gemara, the pariklo. Very simple. You have these bikurim. Now we have a doubt. Is it bikurim? No, bikurim. Says Rabbi Meir, bring it, but don't read the psukim. So he says, okay, but if it's not really bikurim, you just brought chulin to the hazara. You're not allowed to bring mundane things to the hazara. Consecrated it. It's not chulin. You made it holy. Consecrated it. Ask the Gemara, but if you consecrated it, you can't eat it. And part of the mitzvah bikurim is you have to eat it. And so the Gemara, you redeemed it. Meaning after you consecrated it and you brought everything, now you redeem it and you eat it. Once you redeem it on other fruits and other things, so now you're allowed to eat it. So that's what you're doing.
Right.
Okay? Fine. So says the Gemara, the dilma lav bikurim. He comes and he says, but 1 second, maybe it's not bikurim. The kamafka lehu mitroma maaser. Now, if it's not bikurim, you're being mafkia trumot umasrot, and therefore be'emet it's going to be a problem because maybe be'emet it's not bikurim, and then it's chayav and trumot umasrot, and if you're going to bring this bikurim which is patur from trumot umasrot, it comes out that the kohen is going to be over on the isur of tevel. Tevel is untithed produce, which means that whenever you have produce in Eretz Yisrael, you have to take off what? Maaser. So now the question is Trumot Masrot, right? So the Trumah goes to the, at the beginning it's going to go to the Levi and all these things. So now, right, he comes and he says, now he comes and he says like this. He says, but 1 second. If right now a person is going to come, right, and he's going to say that it's Bikurim, you got out of the problem of Chulin Azara. What about the Trumot Masrot? The Kohen is going to come and he's going to eat Trumot Masrot. So answers the Gemara, te mafrish lo. What does it mean, mafrish lo? You separated Trumot Masrot even from this Bikurim, which means even though Stam Bikurim is patur from Trumot Masrot, here because of the Safek you came and you took off Trumot Masrot. Bishlama Truma Gdola Ya'iv la Kohen. I understand Truma Gdola, you give it to the Kohen. Maaser Sheni Nami, even Maaser Sheni, you could give it to the Kohen. There's no problem. Why? Because at the end of the day, he could have it. That's fine. Maaser Ani Nami, even Maaser Ani, right? You could actually separate and you could give it to win a doubt. Give it to a Kohen that's poor. Ela Maaser Rishon de Levihu. But what do you do with the Maaser Rishon to the Levi? Remember, the first thing that you do when you have a field is you take off Truma Gdola. Right? What it is, 150th, 124th. You come and you take off a very small amount, you give it to the Kohen. After that, you take off 10%. And 10% you give to the Lewi. What's that called? No. Maaser Rishon. Chazaku Baruch. The Levi takes off 10%. And that's called Maaser Min HaMaaser or Chazaku Baruch, Trumat Maaser. Because it's the Truma from the Maaser or Maaser from the Maaser. But it's basically 10% from the 10%. Then after that, you're going to take off another 10%. The second 10% of the leftovers, so it's only going to be 9, that's going to be either Maaser Sheni or Maaser Ani. Doctor, Maaser Ani,
3-6.
Chazak Baruch, 3-6, right? The 7 is Shemitah, right? 3 and 6. And Maaser Sheni, Chazak Baruch. Okay, those are the years in Shemitah. Okay, thank you. Let's continue. So it says 1, 2, 4, 5. Another one is 3 and 6. Yeah, Maaser Ani.
So at 6. אבל למה לא נגדור? בשבע אני אסביר גם...
7 זה לא אני, 7 זה לכולם. אני יכול להיות עשיר מופלג. I go into your field, I could be a rich millionaire. I come into your field, I eat from the fruits. It's Shemitah. Shemitah, everything is free. Maaser Ani. Maaser Ani. Maaser Rishon זה 1, 2, 4, 5.
עכשיו הוא אמר מעשר אני 1, 2, 4, 5.
No.
אוקיי, אז תגידו מההתחלה. אני 3 ו-6. אז אני 3 ו-6.
אתה רואה, אתה 3 ו-6. Fine. So answers the Gemara. Tiavu le Kohen. That he comes and he says, right? He says, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. He comes and he says, yeah, that it's talking about Shitat Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. What does that mean? He gave it to a Kohen like Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah that he learned in the Braita. Truma Gdola goes to the Kohen, and Maaser Rishon goes to the Lewi. Okay? So he says these words are the words of Rekiva. Elazar ben Azariah Omer, Maaser Rishon also could go to a Kohen because the Kohen are part of the Levim. So if according to the Shita, you could give also, means you don't have to give it to the Levi at all. So basically, give everything to the Kohen, and by giving it to the Kohen, you got out of all the problems. Maaser Rishon, Maaser Sheni, Maaser Ani, because it's a poor Kohen, remember? Maaser Ani, the Truma Gdola, you give it to the Kohen. Kohen Ani, once you give it to a Kohen Ani, you've done everything.
Tell them about Ezra and all the...
No. Yeah. So says the Gemara, V'dilma bikurim minhu, right? He says, 1 second. Maybe Be'emet they are bikurim, and you have to read it, which means like this. One more time. Let's zoom out. I always like to zoom out so that way you guys could actually see everything that's going on. Right? Yes. So 1 second. We're gonna zoom out. Beforehand, we were having a machloket, obviously, again, and this is all the, whether it's 1 tree, 2 trees, whether it's yours. So what do we keep on saying? Mevi veno kore. Now again, according to Shtat Rabbi Meir, mevi veno kore is going to be on 1 tree. And according to Chachamim, it's going to be on 2 trees. Okay, so that means the machloket is when bemet does it really belong to you, not belong to you? They had a doubt. So whenever it's a doubt, you bring the bikurim. Mevi means to bring. Veno kore means you're not going to read it. So you don't read the psukim. So at the beginning of the Gemara, we start saying, 1 second, but maybe it's not bikurim. And if it's not bikurim, you're bringing chulin nazara, and you're not taking off masrot. And each time we have to come and we have to bring different. No, that you're making an ekdesh. But then you can't eat it. No, so then you made it. You're gonna redeem it, and then you're allowed to eat it. And we kept on trying to answer up. Now we flip. Flip it. Yeah, you want me to show you? Yeah, flip it. Yeah, what happens now when we talk about the concept of flipping? Right? He comes and he says, when you're going to flip, what you're going to do is the opposite. Maybe it is bikurim. Now, if it is bikurim, what are you doing? You're bringing the bikurim, chazak v'ruch, but you're not reading the psukim. So he comes and he says, maybe be'emet it's bikurim, and you have to read the psukim. And therefore, if you're not, so then 1 second, in order for the kohanim to eat it, you have to read the psukim. If you're not reading the psukim, how are they eating it? It's like you're going to bring a korban, you're not going to sprinkle the blood. And it's that, meaning that you have to read it. Why can you read it? So answers the Gemara, kriya lo me'akevet. No, the reading does not impede. Meaning it's not me'akev. Meaning it's not the same, right, as the blood of the korban or things that it is impeding. The reading, right? No, I told you the other way was the other way around, right? But the opposite. That maybe it's not bikurim. Yeah. Now we're saying it is bikurim, and you have to read it. We answer the reading doesn't matter, even if you didn't read it. Okay. So says the Gemara below. Are you going to tell me the reading is not me'akev? Ve'amar Rabbi Zera. Says Rabbi Zera. Kol ha'raui lebila en bila me'akevet bo. Sheno raui lebila bila me'akevet bo. This is a very famous concept in the Gemara. I'm going to ask you a question. Yeah? Please answer correctly. When you go into the mikveh, do you have to open up your mouth?
No, nothing.
No? Okay. When you go into the mikveh, do you have to open up your eyes?
Yeah.
No. Right? When you go into the mikveh, do you have to open up your nostrils? Yeah, make sure that you don't need to. Right? You need to or not need to? No. So now the question is, can I have bubble gum in my mouth when I go into the mikveh? No. Can I have adashot maga? Can I have contact lenses, right, in my eyes during the mikveh? No. Why not? Chatzitza. 1 second. Ribono shel olam. You just told me I don't have to open up my eyes. So if I don't have to open up my eyes, what's the big deal? I go inside, even with contact lenses. That's it. So the yesod, the foundation is kol hara'ui lebila en bila me'akevet bo. Anything which is fitting for it, so it's not going to impede. It's not going to stop. But the second that it's stopping it, now it does impede. So the concept is, you're right. When you go into the mikveh, you don't have to open up your eyes. But the second that if you would open up your eyes, now there's a chatzitza, now it's considered a chatzitza, even though you don't need to open up your eyes. Capish? That's the concept right behind it. Okay, now again, there literally, it's talking about a korban mincha, right? A korban mincha is a meal offering, right? That are you able to come and mix it together? Bila is like livlol, is to come and to mix it together, the dough. You're mixing it with the oil, right? And the fine flour, you're mixing it with the oil and everything. So he says anything which is fitting for it, so then it's not going to stop it. It's kosher, even if you didn't do it. But if it's not fitting to come and to do the bila, so then bila is going to be me'akev. And this, by the way, is in everything. Like, we mentioned this hundreds of times. So basically what happens is, right, is he comes and he says, here, it's a problem. What does that mean? If it's 100% bikurim, and I didn't read, is it a problem? No, it's not a problem. Why? The kriya is not me'akev. It doesn't impede. Okay, fine. But what happens if I can't read it? I can't read because maybe it's not bikurim. So now the kriya should be me'akev. Beforehand, when it's 100% bikurim.
You mean no doubt, you mean?
Yes, 100%. 100% bikurim. I don't need to read it because it's fitting to read it. And since it's fitting to read it, even if I didn't read it, it's not me'akev. But now that you come and you say that I have a doubt whether it's bikurim, And therefore, since I have a doubt whether it's bikurim, I'm not allowed to read it. So therefore, the kriya should be
Who
me'akev.
says? What kind of reasoning is that? You made it up.
And this is what he wanted. He says what you did was he did it like Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina. The Amar that he says bitzaran v'shigram biat shliach. Right? What happens right now if you're going to come and you're going to take the fruits, right? So he comes and he says like this. He says, and you send it in the hand of a shaliach, and the shaliach dies on the way, right? So he reaped it and then he died. So what happens is so then the baalim did it themselves. They themselves brought it up to the Azara. So in this case, mevi venu kore. Even the baalim themselves, they bring it and they cannot read it. My time on what's reasoning? Tichtiv velakachta veveta. You took it and you brought it. So what does that mean? Right? So velakachta. Why is it extra? He comes. It should have just said veveta marsecha. Why velakachta veveta? So he comes and he says al shetehe lekicha ve'avah ke'echad. It has to be the same person. Here wasn't the same person, meaning the owners was one person and the shaliach was another person. So the fact that there were two different people doing it, so even the owner himself, even afterwards, the guy died, so that he's bringing it himself, he still cannot bring it. So therefore he says, right, Valeka, here you don't have it. So since you do not have it, what happens is that you cannot, so it comes out that according to this, right, it comes out that a person that's going to take two trees, according to Shita Chachamim, or one tree, according to Rabbi, in order that the bikurim is not going to be considered, right, that basically the kriya, right, he says he has to send it in the hand of a shaliach. And therefore, if you hand it in the hands of a shaliach, so then what? You're not obligated to read. And if you're not obligated to read, so then you don't have the problem of the bila me'akevet or not me'akevet. One more time. One more time. You have a technical issue. If you don't need to do it, so it's not going to be makev. Right? If you don't need to do it, right? Okay, fine. If you don't need to do it, so it's not makev. So, for example, do you need the water to go inside your innards, inside your body? No. So even if a person has a stent or he has I don't know what, it's not makev. Why? Water doesn't need to get there, right? But if the water does technically need to get, meaning if it could get there, for example, the openings of the mouth, ears, so you can't start putting cotton wool or earplugs or something in your nostrils. Why? Because if it would get there. So therefore now, even though you don't need it, but it's not ma'akev, it doesn't impede. He comes and he says this. What is the problem here in the bikurim? The problem here in the bikurim is that you're bringing it, right? You're bringing the bikurim, right? But you're not reading. So the Gemara says, maybe it's bikurim. Says Gemara, doesn't impede. Why? If I have bikurim, this is bikurim. I bring it right now. I don't have to read it. Even if I didn't read it, it's still bikurim. That's fine. But what happens if I can't read the bikurim? I can't read it. I bring it, but I can't read it. Now it's me'akev. Now I have a problem. So says the Gemara, you know what you have to do? You have to get out of the problem. What are you going to do? I'm going to send it in the hands of a shaliach. Because by sending it in the hand of a shaliach, you don't read. But that they learn from the pasuk that since it says velakachta veveta, it has to be the same person that's taking it and bringing it. So the fact that you're bringing it to a shaliach, now you're not obligated to read. Now that you're not obligated to read, so now it was a doubt if it was bikurim or not. So now the reading doesn't impede either. If it was maybe 100% bikurim, and therefore I wasn't able to read, the reading impedes. But now that I don't need to read, so the reading doesn't impede.